Speaking of less than amazing candidates, I love all of our transitions today. Let's throw this up there on the screen. Missouri. Trump seems eminently determined to nominate the worst possible person in the state of Missouri. Vicky Hartzler, who had actually recently been doing pretty well in the polls. She was endorsed by Josh Hawley. She's really been endorsed by the establishment, quote unquote, within Missouri, who view her as the alternative to Eric Greitens, the former governor, resigned in disgrace. Obviously, he's been accused, by his wife of assaulting her, his child, all this other stuff. Well, Vicky Hartzler recently called Trump for his endorsement, and he put out a truth. He truthed. You can forget about Vicky Hartzler for Senate from the great state of Missouri. She called me this morning asking for my endorsement, much as she has on many other occasions. I was anything but positive in that I don't think she has what it takes to take on the radical left Democrats together with their partner in the destruction of our country, the fake news media, and of course, the deceptive and foolish rhinos. So my guess would be the reason for coming out against her is that he simply hates the establishment. He knows that Mitch McConnell wants Vicky Hartzler and Josh Hawley and others doesn't want Eric Greitens. And look, Eric Greitens has been favorably received as of recently at Mar-a-Lago. And now there's only two people who are left in the race, Eric Schmidt and Greitens. And Greitens, frankly, is doing pretty well in the primary. But more importantly, I think for Trump's purposes, Greitens has defined himself entirely on Stop the Steal. Outside of that ridiculous ad that we played here about rhino hunting, he has positioned himself perfectly to get the Trump endorsement. He was on the ground in Arizona filming these insane videos about we're going to audit the elections. He's been all over Steve Bannon's war room. He's been cultivating the online kind of MAGA base, despite the fact that his wife is like, hey, he's crazy and he literally beat me and my son. And it doesn't seem to matter for a lot of these folks. And him positioning himself that way and professing legitimate, undying loyalty to Trump in a really sociopathic and transparent way is just very clearly appealing to Trump. And I think he's probably going to endorse him. I just don't see a way that he doesn't, given where the polling is and given the fact that he's willing to rule out Vicky Hartzler, who was the establishment candidate pitched by Mitch McConnell. Greitens very expertly positioned himself in the top by saying, I'm Mitch McConnell's worst nightmare. I'm Mitch McConnell's worst nightmare. Yes. That's exactly what Trump wants to hear.
It's not only that, though. It's also, if you read this article, it is so embarrassing and gross how they try to get Trump's endorsement. Gosh. So Greitens has hired Kimberly Guilfoyle as his campaign co-chair. Surprise, surprise, Don Jr. then decides to endorse him.
Right.
So, and you see this on a lot of these campaigns. There's another dude in this race who I think is trailing in fourth place. His name's Billy Long, who hired Kellyanne Conway. Wow. He has paid more than $100,000 in campaign consulting fees to Kellyanne Conway, hoping that she may be the one to get him the into Trump. And that's how all these people are selling these shares. I mean, at least Kellyanne has some campaigning skills
she's an actual pollster.
And bona fides. Right. Kimberly Guilfoyle, that's literally just pay to play. I mean, you're just, and this is happening. Yeah, I mean, this is happening in races across the country where it's all about, let me pay the right Trump world figure to be on my side to try to score that Trump endorsement. They also say that Billy Long dude, they say he can often be found handing out fake $45 bills with Trump's face on them at the U.S. Capitol and has overtly said that the Trump endorsement is his essentially only path to winning the Senate race. The level of shamelessness and groveling and just outright grift and corruption going into this endorsement process is also extraordinarily disgusting. Greitens, we've covered here he had to resign from being governor of Missouri in disgrace under pressure from his own party, not only over the fact that he was very credibly accused of blackmailing his mistress by tying her up naked and taking photographs of her and telling her that if she ever said anything about the affair that he would release them. So that happened. He also was under investigation for campaign finance fraud and corruption. And so he steps down to avoid a fulsome investigation into those allegations of corruption. Now we have the new allegations from his ex-wife, which have been filed in court about alleged domestic violence against her and against their son, and also insane psychological manipulation and abuse. But the other thing you should know about this dude is he literally believes nothing. I mean, he is a total shapeshifter. A close friend of mine who's a Missouri Politico, Jeff Smith, who was in the state Senate and has lived in Missouri his whole life and actually grew up with Greitens. Played soccer with him. They did boys state together. Yep. They went to college in similar places. They taught at the same university. Back in 2008, Greitens was an Obama stan. Personally drove to the DNC to see his historic nomination. And then the minute that the political winds in Missouri are clearly shifting towards the Republican Party, he changes on the dime. He's a Tea Party dude. And then the minute the winds shift again in the MAGA direction, well, now he's all in there. So this is someone who cares about nothing, believes nothing, and will do and say whatever it takes that he thinks will serve his own image.
What's hilarious to me is I knew Eric Greitens whenever he was a beloved by the neocon billionaires. It was common story here in Washington. They're like, oh, we love Eric Greitens down there. Like, but they loved him. He sought all of their endorsements and then turns on a dime. And then look, he saw political resurrection and just debasing himself completely. From what I've heard, he's hated in the SEAL community. He's hated in the special operations community. He was hated by his turncoats in the Tea Party movement. And now he's gone all in on MAGA, and they're willing to take him because they'll take anybody, really, who spouts enough of this crap. But hey, listen, it could work. And let's be honest, if he gets a nomination, he's probably going to win. I mean, that's generally how it works.
Yeah, so I asked Jeff what he thought. And on the Democratic side, there's a primary as well. We've had Lucas Kunce on this show, who is a veteran. He was fantastic talking about Afghanistan and the corruption that he saw on the ground there. He's also, been really thoughtful on China. He worked on anti-monopoly issues. He's really running a full-throated populist left campaign in the model of sort of like the progressive populist of the Midwest.
Yes.
And he's up against, of course, Democrats would put up this like beer heiress. And it's a close primary. It's hard to say who's going to come out of that ultimately. But I was asking Jeff what he thought about the Democrats' chances if Greitens ends up as the nominee. Do they have any shot given how far to the right Missouri has gone at this chance? And, he thought there was like a 1 in 5 chance. It's still very long odds. Very likely whoever comes out of the Republican primary is going to be the next senator from Missouri. But the only one that, they're trying to nominate the one guy who even has a shot at losing. And right now, I think we have this real clear politics. He's in the average of polls, Greitens is up by 2. Yep. The latest polling from Trafalgar has him up by 1, so margin of error. The ones before that had him up by 6, up by 9. The one before that did have Schmidt up there for a minute, but overall the averages look like they are in Greitens' favor. And let me tell you, if Trump comes in and endorses, it's going to seal the deal.
Yeah, I think you're right. And look, it'll be fun, I guess, to watch. And if he wins, it'll just be a great commentary on the American political system.
Cable news is ripping us apart, dividing the country, making it impossible to function as a society, and making it impossible to know just what is true and what is false. But the good news is they are failing and they know it.
That is why we're building something new, a new mainstream, a healthier one, something more trustworthy, something that we are going to need in one of the most pivotal times in American history. We are building up here for the midterms, for the upcoming presidential election, but we need your help. So if you can help us out by becoming a premium member today at breakingpoints.com, we're trying to change America for the better and the entire world.
So what are you waiting for, guys? Go to breakingpoints.com and sign up and help us build a new mainstream.